Hey CS Dojo, it's YK here. Welcome to video number 2 of my Python tutorial for absolute beginners. In this video, first of all, I'm going to answer a question I received on my last video, and then I'm going to give you some additional commands you can use in Jupyter Notebook, for example, for adding and deleting cells. And remember that you don't necessarily have to use Jupyter Notebook to follow this course. You can use, for example, PyCharm, which is a popular IDE for Python. After that, I'm going to cover if-else statements, how to use them and what they are. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to create a simple BMI calculator, which can tell if a person is overweight or not, given the person's height and weight. I'm going to put an outline of this video below, so you don't have to watch the whole thing if you don't want to. And you can go to csdojo.io/python2 to download the sample files I create in this video. Alright, first of all, let me answer a question I received on my last video. Damani Ajram, sorry for the pronunciation, says, currently I'm learning web development. What do you think about it? Should I keep going or start another language like Python? So I wanted to answer this particular question because I thought some other people might have the same question. Maybe you started learning C++ or Java already, and you're wondering, should I keep going with it or should I take this course for Python instead? I would say keep going with whatever you're doing as long as you enjoy, and then if you want, you can take this course at the same time because some of the concepts I'll teach are going to be the same regardless of which language you're using. So for example, the method for swapping two variables I talked about in the last video, you can use that in C++ or Java or in any other language you're learning. Okay, with that out of the way, let's now talk about Jupyter Notebook. First of all, launch Jupyter Notebook through Anaconda Navigator or with any other method you'd like to use. And then navigate to desktop. And let's create a new folder here. I'm going to call this Python tutorial 2. Navigate to that folder within desktop and click new at the top right corner, click Python 3. And let's call this file if-else statements. Click rename, and then I'm just going to maximize my browser window. So the only command we learned in the last video was this button right here for running or executing a cell. Once I click it, it executes or runs all the commands within the given cell, this green box right here. So if we have hello1 here and then hello2 here in the print function, we'll execute both of these lines. And you might have noticed that after running this cell, it automatically adds a new cell below it. And what if we wanted to delete this cell? For that, you can use this button that looks like scissors. And for adding cells, you can use this button right next to it that looks like a plus button. And you can add as many cells as you want. And one interesting thing here is that you can execute these cells in any order you'd like. So let's say you have print A in this cell and A equals 1 in this cell. You might say, well, if we try to execute this cell, it'll give us an error. Let me actually try it again because A is not defined yet. So it'll give us an error saying name error, name A is not defined. But before executing this cell, print A, if we execute this cell right below it to define A to be 1, it won't give us an error anymore. Okay, let me now delete a bunch of cells here with this scissors button. And let's add one cell below the first cell. And let's say we have B equals 2 here. And let's run it with the run button right here. And of course, this way, B is defined to be 2. Now, what happens if we delete the cell with this button right here? And if we try to print B right here with print parenthesis B? What happens is actually we can still print it because even though the cell containing this statement B equals 2 is deleted, the state of this Jupyter Notebook is actually still preserved. So when I say the state of this Jupyter Notebook, what I mean is pretty much all the variables that are stored in this Jupyter Notebook. And the state of this Jupyter Notebook is not stored on this browser window because, like I said in the last video, this browser window is just a user interface for the Jupyter Notebook. The state of this Jupyter Notebook is stored in something called the kernel of this Jupyter Notebook. That's basically represented by this command line interface. This might look slightly different if you're using Windows. And the kernel is what executes your code once you click the run button, and it also stores all the variables that you've defined. So to clear out the state of this Jupyter notebook, or to clear out all the variables you have defined, you need to click kernel at the top and then click restart. Actually, I like to use the command below, restart and clear output, because it restarts the kernel and clears out everything that's been printed. So this kernel has been restarted now, and if we try to print B now, it'll give us an error because name A is not defined yet. Also, remember that there's one kernel for each notebook file. So if we had another notebook file, and if we restart the kernel for this notebook file, that won't affect the other notebook at all because that notebook will have a separate kernel. Okay, so just to recap, we've learned how to use 4 commands in Jupyter Notebook. The first is running a cell, and then deleting cells, adding cells, as well as restarting the kernel and clearing the output. Okay, let's now delete all the cells we have here and restart the kernel and clear the output. And let's dive into our main topic today, if-else statements. Let me give you a quick example here. A is equal to 1 and B is equal to 2. And what if we wanted to show a message that's something like A is less than B by printing this string only if A is actually less than B? We can do this with if A less than B colon. So that's if space A space less than space B colon, enter into a new line and print A is less than B. And you need to indent this new line by 4 spaces. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You could actually use a different number of spaces, for example, 3 spaces or 5 spaces, but using 4 spaces is a convention in Python. So let's stick with 4 spaces in this video. So these 2 lines, if A less than B, print A is less than B, this whole thing is called an if clause. And after this if clause, you could have more code. For example, print not sure if A is less than B. And so this if condition only applies to this line in this example. And Python knows that because of the colon sign here, as well as the 4 spaces that we have before this print line. So let's try running the cell. Because A is currently less than B, we should be able to print A is less than B, and we do. And let's see what happens if A is 3. In that case, A is not less than B, so this cell should only print this line right here, not sure if A is less than B, and that's indeed the case. And it's actually possible to have multiple lines within the if clause. So instead of just having print A is less than B, we're gonna write print double quotes A is definitely less than B. And in this statement, Python knows that these 2 lines are part of the if clause because both of these lines have 4 spaces in front of them. So let's see if that works by changing A to 1 again. And since A is less than B, we should be able to print these 2 lines again. So we see that A is less than B and A is definitely less than B. So in a different language, you might see an if clause with parentheses and with curly brackets, but in Python, we're using a colon as well as 4 spaces in front of each line. You need to be really careful about the number of spaces in front of each line, because if we had, for example, 4 spaces in front of the first line and 5 spaces in front of the second line, it'll give us an error. So the error says indentation error, unexpected indent. Let's fix that by deleting 1 space here, and now we have 4 spaces in front of each line, so it's gonna work again. Okay, let's take a look at a few more examples here. The first one is this. C is equal to 3 and D is equal to 4. If we write C less than D colon 4 spaces, print double quotes C is less than D, and let's add something outside this if block by writing print outside the if block. And once we write this, will print this line, C is less than D, only when C is less than D. What if we wanted to add a new line here that says C is not less than D? And what if we wanted to print it only if C is not less than D? We can do that by writing else colon right after the if clause, and note that there's no spaces before this else line, and insert 4 spaces before this line to show that this line is part of the else clause. We could also have multiple lines within the else clause and write print double quotes I don't think C is less than D. So this whole block says if C is less than D, then print C is less than D, and if that's not the case or else, print these 2 lines instead. So currently C is definitely less than D, so we should see this line printed, C is less than D, and this line outside the if block. And we see that C is less than D and outside the if block. And once we change the value of C to 5 so that C is not less than D, we should be able to see these 2 lines instead. And we do. C is not less than D, and I don't think C is less than D. Take a look at another example here. E is equal to 7 and F is equal to 8. So we're going to write pretty much the same thing after that. So if E is less than F, then print E is less than F, and else colon print E is not less than F. So here, what if we wanted to deal with 3 cases instead of only 2 cases? For example, what if we wanted to deal with the case where E is less than F and E is equal to F and E is greater than F separately, so those 3 cases. We can do that with elif, which stands for else if. So write elif E double equal sign F, new line, print parentheses, double quotes, E is equal to F. And let's change what's in the else clause to E is greater than F. So this block now says if E is less than F, then print E is less than F. And if that's not the case, check the next condition, E is equal to F. And note here that we're using the double equal sign instead of a single equal sign. So the difference is that when we use the single equal sign, for example right here, we're assigning what's on the right hand side to the left hand side. So in Python and in many other languages, the single equal sign is an assignment operator. Now if you want to check if E is equal to F, similar to the way we can check if E is less than F, we need to use the double equal sign. So if you're not sure about which one to use, just remember that in this line, we're not assigning F to E. We're evaluating instead if E is equal to F. So this whole block says if E is less than F, print this line, and if that's not the case, check the next condition. If E is equal to F, then print this line right here, print E is equal to F. And if none of these conditions are true, so it's not true that E is less than F and E is equal to F, then else print E is greater than F, because that's the only possibility that's left here. Now let's just make sure this whole block works. Currently E is less than F, so we see E is less than F. And what if E is equal to F? So E and F are both equal to 8. Then we see E is equal to F right here. And what if E is greater than F? So E is 10 and F is 8. We see E is greater than F right here. And actually, after the if clause, we could have multiple elif clauses. So after the first elif, we can write elif, let's say E greater than F plus 10. So this just means E is greater than F by more than 10. So right now, E is not greater than F by more than 10. We should still see E is greater than 10 once we run this cell, and we do. And once we change E to, for example, 20, we'll see E is greater than F by more than 10. So there's actually another way to deal with 3 or more separate cases without using the else-if clauses. So to show you, let's define new variables here, h and g, 7 and 8. So we're going to write if g is less than h, colon, print g is less than h. And so far it's the same, but after this, we're going to write else instead of else-if. And within this else clause, we can create a new if clause and say if g is equal to h, the double equal sign, print g is equal to h, and after that, else, colon, print g is greater than h. So let's see how this block works. First, we're checking if g is less than h, and if that's the case, we print g is less than h. And if that's not the case, we'll go to the else clause. And there are 4 lines in the else clause. And if you look at this line, the if clause, there are 4 spaces in front of it. And if you look at this print line that says g is equal to h, that's within the if clause, within the else clause. So there are 4 spaces here, and then there are 4 additional spaces here before the print line. So there are 8 spaces total here. And similarly for else, there are 4 spaces here because this else clause is within this else clause. And then there are 8 spaces before the print line here because there are already 4 spaces before the else clause. And then there are 4 spaces after that to show that this print line is within this else clause. Okay, let's make sure this works. Right now, g is less than h, so we should see g is less than h. We do. And if we have g being equal to h, we should see g is equal to h. And we see that. And if g is greater than h, we should see this line being printed. And we do. Okay, let's now create a simple BMI calculator. BMI is basically a number that can tell if a person is overweight or not, depending on their height and weight. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, we have a person named YK, and his height in meters, again, hypothetically speaking, is 2 meters, and his weight in kilograms is 90. Now, if you only know someone's height in feet and inches and weight in pounds, just use an online calculator to convert it. So you can just search for feet and inches to meters, and you should be able to find a good online calculator for that. Okay, now the formula for finding the BMI is the person's weight in kilograms divided by this person's height in meters squared. And to express height in meters squared, you could either write height m times height m, or you can write height m double star 2. And this double star just means to the power of. And let's print this person's BMI here with print double quotes BMI and then BMI. So this person would be not overweight if this person's BMI is less than 25. So in that case, if BMI less than 25, let's print this person's name is not overweight. And else, if BMI is greater than or equal to 25, we're going to print this person is overweight. Let's see if YK is overweight here. Okay, he's not. But what if he had 110 kilograms of weight? Then his BMI would be 27.5 and YK would be overweight. Okay, if you'd like to support me so I can keep making videos like this full time, just go to csdojo.io/PAT to find my Patreon page. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss my future videos like this one, just go to csdojo.io/news to sign up to my newsletter. And if you want to download some sample files from this video, go to csdojo.io/python2. I'm YK from CS Dojo, and I'll see you in the next video.